Now, for years, Western Australia has been seen as the key to the nation's future prosperity. But with the downturn in the resources boom, what are the prospects now?
2 years after its influential study on Tasmania, the Griffith Review today focuses squarely on Western Australia. And its editor, Julianne Schultz, joins us now. Julianne, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
Why the decision to focus an entire issue on WA?
Well, it's been, as you say, the centre of economic growth for the last few years in this country, and I think that, like as we found when we did the edition on Tasmania, that there's lots of hidden depths in WA that people are just generally not aware of.
I was going to ask that as well. Is it a state that many of us on the eastern seaboard are still a bit mystified about and don't know enough about it that we should?
Oh, look, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, I've spent quite a bit of time in WA over the years. I've got family there. And I must say that as I was putting this edition together with my colleague, Professor Anna Haybick from Curtin University, I was astonished by the stories that I was hearing. It really changed my thinking about WA in quite profound ways. It was there was one line which really stuck with me. Peter Newman, who's a professor of sustainability at Curtin University, wrote about his sort of outrage when the Gruen transfer suggested at one point of one of its challenges that there should be a competition to how you would keep the bogans in WA and not infiltrate the rest of Australia. And what Peter's written about is how WA has actually been the source of innovation in quite profound ways over a long period of time. And that's sort of something which is, I think, just not known here on the East Coast.
The latest edition of the review boasts a stellar cast of commentators and writers, including the former Premier, Carmen Lawrence, and of course a former Federal Minister. She is one of a few buying in on this ever-present conflict between those rich resources underground that of course underpinned Australia's prosperity for so many years, and also the conflict that poses with an often delicate environment in WA. And it's not an easy conflict to try to solve, is it?
It certainly isn't, and the environment of WA is very fragile and is very special. You know, in the south of the state is one of the most ecologically biodiverse areas in the world. I mean, in some ways, I think that getting that balance right is obviously hugely important. But I think that in some ways, the fragility of it and the sensitivity of it is something that's been held intact for so long because it has been such a sparsely settled area of land for so many years. So now that it's under enormous development pressure, really weighing the two sides, you know, the environment, the human resources, the resources that lay underneath and so on, getting that mix right so that you produce a very sustainable society for the long term is something that is a real challenge for everyone who's got an interest in WA. And in Australia. I mean, one of the things I think that's really important is finding ways to protect that unique environmental heritage, but also to ensure that the state develops in a way which achieves its potential. I mean, you don't want to see the growth happening in a sort of boom-bust fashion, or in a way that, you know, ghost towns are left behind after one boom and another. I mean, it would be terrific to see WA developing as a long-term, sustainable, well-populated source of economic and social activity for the long term, for the nation and for the place itself.
Now, Julianne, no issue, no book of essays focusing or showcasing WA writers would be complete without Tim Winton, and he, of course, is interviewed as part of this Griffith Review special edition, and he speaks of what was the case for many people of Western Australia for so many years, and that is a continental cringe, as he describes it, which he says thankfully is now past. But do you think there's still a bit of a, I don't know, not so much an inferiority complex by people in WA, but a feeling that they're not really appreciated by the rest of us?
Look, I think we probably don't take them as seriously as we might, but I think that we are also seeing, and Tim has been a great advocate for this, WA is a source of enormous creativity, and the sort of output, the cultural output and the creative output that's come from WA, from writers, from singers. I mean, I think of Tim Minchin and Nick Albrook, who's written in this book, Robert Drew, going right back. There's a sort of self-confidence and an assertion of you know, something unique that comes from being in a smaller place, and in a way I think that that's one of the real benefits that we get by having a close look at a state like WA, is that what you find in these slightly more remote areas is that people have to make their own art, they have to make their own creativity, they have to find their own stories, and when they do that at its very best, it takes the world by storm. I mean, look at what Nick Minchin has done with his stuff in his theatre around the world.
Indeed. Julian Schultz, thank you very much for that. It's a great read, and I certainly learnt a lot that I didn't know about WA. Thanks for your time.
Yep. Thank you very much.